The following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Well, it is yet another day where we have a sitting with the doctors, and you know it's always fun because then we get to discuss things that affect you and me. And so today we'll be focusing much on co-parenting, and we all know that co-parenting is occasioned, say, by divorce and separation. And so as we get to this conversation, we welcome your feedback. Let's get to just know how best as parents, in the event that, you know, a conflict arises, we do not involve the children. We at least raise these children in a way that, of course, they will not miss out on anything that would come from either parent. So welcome on board. It's always good doing this. And of course, it's a pleasure as well to have Dr. Rehab with me, Dr. Sarah, as well as Dr. Jane, as we get to this conversation. The doctors, thank you so much for creating time as always. This one is quite emotive, a topic you will agree with most of us, but it's pretty much a common, practice today that parents co-parent. I don't know whether during your times, I know we still have your times here, but those times when divorce happened, was it common that, parents would co-parent, or it was done, separation, and that was it? Children don't get to see their other parties or the other parents ever again. Dr. Sarah.
Well, I think, as you've said, it's true.
Yeah.
Some time back, it would mean once the parents have separated, there was no more co-parenting. There was that one of children would know that their parents have separated informally or formally. But today, in a way, there is a way the parents have come in and they have decided, and I think it's because they're informed about their rights. Yeah? They have informed that the woman has been informed that the man has to take care of their children. I think that is that enlightenment is what has brought about so much of co-parenting. Of course, the burden of bringing up children alone has also heightened up. So in a way, you see, you can't, it's not those ones of a lady would be proudly saying, I'm bringing my children alone. Today, it's becoming difficult financially and every other way. So the co-parenting now has crept in because of such eventualities. Yes.
Is that a good thing? I mean, looking at how we're handling it and all that, we're actually making it very beautiful. If you go online, everybody's like, oh, that's a good thing. That's beautiful that you're taking care of the kids, emotions aside and all that. Is that a good thing?
Well, to some extent, it's better because the mother will have lesser questions of answering, where did your dad go? Yeah. So they are able to see the father, and somehow they are able to connect and relate, and they have not known where they came from. They are not born of like Jesus, who was born of Mary.
Yes.
Yes.
And Dr. Sarah says the mother. It's because we all know that most of the times it's the mom that goes with the kids.
Yes.
But nowadays we also have parents or gentlemen who are taking care of their own children. And so that also we'll be getting to. Dr. Jane, it's important then we understand how best we deal with separation and divorce, if at all we're going to co-parent in the right way. So what are some of the emotional challenges that would come with divorce that would probably get people not even wanting to co-parent?
I think the emotional challenges, they are at the genesis, before the couple or the partners decide to separate, to get to that decision. There's a lot of questioning whether one is doing the right thing, emotional highs and lows, and wondering, why has this person changed? Because there has to be reasons why it is happening. People who are so much in love, and they brought children on earth. Right. It means they were in love, and what has really happened now that they have to part. So it is an emotive situation. It brings a lot of maybe self-doubt and guilt, and probably sometimes conflicts and fights. Why did we get here? And it can cause a lot of sadness to the person probably who feels they have been shortchanged. Maybe someone changes in the middle of the relationship. You're wondering, is this the person I married? And now we cannot raise our family together. It's a big problem.
All right.
Yeah.
We want to understand how then best one can, or people can actually get to navigate the complexities that come along with co-parenting. But my understanding then would be, then you must have dealt with the complexities of divorce, separation, and how you handle these children before it gets to this space. What would be your advice?
You see, when sometimes when people divorce or separate, they are in denial. And the best thing is to be real, be honest, be straightforward. It's good to know that this thing has happened and you accept. And you know that you are good to go with the consequences. So that is the most important thing. Just be honest, be open, be straightforward. Don't hide around. Don't, live in denial. It's good to know that it has come to this point, and this is how things are, and now this is the way to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes we overlook the children in the process of divorce, and even worse, in the process of co-parenting, because you find that you come to a point where you agree on co-parenting forcefully, because then you have gone through the law and all that, but there are others who just genuinely say, you know what, it's fine, go your way, go my way, let us take care of this child. In the process of agreeing of co-parenting, what are some of the things that one needs to consider?
Of course, there are many things to consider in co-parenting. For one, you need to consider who is good enough to go with these children or child, who should be in a position to do that. Of course, we know that the law comes in, because when a child is below the age of 18, then I think the child is given to the mother. So it is good to have that agreement. And then it is also good to agree where do the children go to school. Who is responsible for school fees, who is responsible for this or the other. In other words, it is important for this couple, those separated or divorced, to sit down and agree. Now that we have these children here in the mix, how do we take care of them? Who is responsible for doing this? However, Leader, you see that sometimes one of the parent may not be in a situation to take care of the children.
Right.
And that is why you need to involve maybe some authority to help you make up your mind on who should do what. And it is also very important to be people who are, straight thinkers. Do not bring your emotions in this, because when you're dealing with the children, these are your offsprings. You want the best for them. So don't bring your anger, your frustrations, your issues that made you divorce. Now, considering the children should be a straightforward kind of thing. If you cannot agree yourselves together, look for some authority to help you to navigate through that.
Okay. What are we looking at when we're talking about co-parenting, Dr. Sarah? Because maybe a dad will say, well, it's end month, here is 50,000, I am done with you, see you end month. The woman will be like, all right, that's basically what I want. Just what are some of the nitty-gritty details that need to be considered that a child requires in the process of co-parenting?
I appreciate that question, but maybe before I get to answer that, the question I've just asked, I want to add something that is quite sensitive in terms of what you should also agree on as the parents. We have this issue that in the event I advance, I move on. In the event I move on and marry another wife or marry another man, what will happen to my children? Do we need to introduce these children
to the other party?
To the other party. I think that is becoming very sensitive, and some people are not feeling free with that, because I feel I should take care of my children and they should not be handled by the other party. And so I think also those are some of the other nitty-gritties that people should agree on.
And we are going to come to that, because then you agree with me that once you probably set your own goals as the two of you, it probably becomes easy for you to even introduce the other party and tell them, by the way, there's a child. But if it is not very clear with the two of you, then it becomes difficulties. Hence my question, just what are some of the things to look out for, or to look up to, or to look to make sure that, they are aligned before then you get to that level?
Okay, now we are looking at the small things that sometimes matter to a child.
Yeah.
Money may not be everything. Money may not be everything. I may get that 50,000 that you brought to my account at end month, but this child may fall sick in the process.
Yeah.
This child may have a day where the parents are supposed to visit school because there is maybe a day that parents have a clinic with their children, and we need to agree, should we go the two of us?
Okay.
And when we go the two of us, how should we behave?
Okay.
Supposing this child requires to be baptized, and this is a church service where the husband and the mother, the wife and the husband should be there. That is a mother and a father, rather, should be there. Who should participate? Who should give the name to this child?
Okay.
Which name? And who should come up with the name? And so, and where should the party be held? You know, those are some of the things that you really need to agree on. And sometimes you might see that they are small, but they can even widen the gap if they are not looked into with seriousness.
Okay.
So again, if an event is to be held, who should be involved? Should we bring in the grandparents from both sides?
From both sides,
How do you
yeah.
behave? Yes, such are the things that need to be agreed on.
All right, in about 2 minutes, I realize that it's more complex than we probably would want to imagine, Dr. Jane. And therefore, one would just want to understand what are some of the best techniques, strategies that we can, find effective to help us co-parent pretty well. Because then if we're going to bring in another party, it becomes a blended family. It gets more complicated by the day.
I think the strategies is educating people, first of all, giving people information, because the challenges are real. And when people are conflicting, they don't know the life ahead. And the child is innocent, children are innocent, they have a future. So they are the ones who are being mostly inconvenienced. So looking for help before you decide you are going to co-parent.
Yeah.
But we need emotional intelligence so that angry feelings are not brought in.
Yeah.
Avoid high conflicts that bring a lot of negativity and talking bad about the other parent in front of the other children. Let the children not know. Don't wash your dirty linen when they are there. Bring in the strong front of yourself. And if it's education, tuition, basic needs, they have a right.
Okay.
They have a right to have them. And maybe other strategies is faith. We know marriages are made in heaven. So continue to give your children hope that still marriages are good,
because
and
that
they're
is
important.
A big problem.
Because they say, then why should I marry? My parents did not marry, did not make it.
Yeah.
So you find a lot of single parent families are coming up, a lot of distortion about marriage, and co-parenting being like glorified. What will happen at 14-year-old, at 20-year-old, when this child will ask you, maybe, I want to live with my dad now completely.
Ooh.
And then you are like, but I brought you up,
What is wrong?
So the women are getting depressed when the children now start leaning on one side.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to co-parent if it works well, if you understand it well. But do you understand it well? We'll take a quick short break and get to understand it some more from a counseling psychologist perspective as to what you need to deal with first before then you engrave yourself in that space of co-parenting after this break. Welcome back to TV47's Beyond the Limit. The conversation tonight is on how best we can co-parent. After that separation process or after that divorce process, the children deserve to have, that proper upbringing. It can never be better, without the parents, both parents involved. And therefore, Dr. Rehab is here with me, Dr. Sarah, as well as Dr. Jane, as we try to unpack this counseling psychologist level. The level of letting go of the baggage of divorce, letting go of the separation baggage, so that you can march into this space involve other parties, other partners that will always come in, but at the same time making sure that the children are well taken care of and they do not see these gaps that exist. How do we go about that?
I want to believe that by the time a couple comes to that space where they really say, we cannot manage this, they have looked at all the, the aspects. They have seen that really they cannot continue. And one of the most important thing that maybe I would want to say is that if they have found that surely it cannot work, it is good to part amicably, without fight, without throwing words and all that. Of course, it's a real loss, and so there are those feelings. But it is always good to sit like grown-ups and say, if we cannot do this, then we need to separate properly, and then we need to know that we have the children to take care of. And then the next thing that one needs to know is that after the separation or the divorce, like I have just said, this is a loss. And so you grieve. Definitely you will grieve, both of you. And one of the most important things to do is to seek for help for grief. Some of the people would want, they want to move on immediately. But it will be so critical if you do that, because you still have wounds to heal.
Right.
You still have to come back to yourself so that you can get into another relationship. So it is important to get help, professional help, so that you can go through the process of grief, because you have lost a very important part of your life and livelihood. And then after that, that is when you now start to begin to think, what next?
If you're going to bring the other party, say if you're now getting into a space of marriage with somebody else, is it proper as well to get them to seek professional counseling? Because then they will tell you, okay, I'm fine with that, but then in the process you find that when you're sending money, they probably they're not comfortable. When you have to ask time away from family so that you can stay with your kid for some minutes, maybe they're not happy, and the events that Dr. Sarah was talking about.
Definitely it is important to let the other party know that you were in a marriage that broke down, and now you are getting into this other relationship with the baggage from the other marriage. The baggage includes children and feelings and all that. So this other person who is who you are getting into a relationship with needs to understand that there are times when you will have to attend to your children in the other relationship. There are times when you need to provide some financial assistance, and even time. Maybe you need to take your children to school, to holidays, to whatever. They need to understand. And that should be done in this premarital premarital therapy that you need to take before you get into this relationship. Because this is a new relationship, you need to get into some premarital therapy. And this person should know what they are getting themselves into, so that at that time, early enough before you get married, they will decide whether they are going to carry this, maybe this woman or this man with this other baggage from the other relationship.
Dr. Sarah, before we come to you, let us listen to what it is that Dr. Jane had highlighted before we took that break. Are we normalizing this? Because you want to, even some of the topics that we hold here, you look at the cameramen, you look at the team behind and the excitement in their faces when they're listening to this conversation, then you know it's almost becoming a trend that people get into marriage, maybe not for better or for worse, not till death do us part. They have options. They know, you know what, if worst comes to the worst, tachukua tu mtoto wangu, si bora niko na kazi. Akitaka kusaidia, well and good. Have we lost that element of resilience in making sure that our marriages hold, and therefore opted for these other easy ways that appear easy until you get into them?
I think it is yes and no. First of all, you cannot stay in a highly conflictual marriage. you will die earlier before you are it. You need a marriage where you have some benefit and value, and you cannot also not stay in a marriage where you are physically being abused.
Right.
Domestic violence it has made women and men suffer, maimed and even death. So sometimes it's good to go out of that marriage. However, the levels of resilience, it's like they've gone down low.
Yeah.
During our time, we were marrying for keeps. That's how we were told by our mothers. There are certain challenges you face in marriage, but you are taught how to live, to continue, because you are told that you are being selfish. You should not be so selfish and let your children suffer. Yeah. Allow yourself to also pay some cost, so that your children can grow in that home environment where they have a dad and they have all that. So there are all those ambivalent kind of feelings when it comes to motherhood and fatherhood. So we cannot blame people for leaving. Neither can we tell people, not to co-parent, because co-parenting is actually a buffer. Okay. Children continue to know that, oh, I have a dad, I have a mother. Right. But before you get there, know that you can be vulnerable. When it is happening, it's good to give yourself time, because there's that vulnerable period where you can easily get out and get settled quickly, because you're trying to solve a problem, and then you get into the fire. Right. So take your time, be patient before you get married to another person, but respect your spouse, collaborate with them, and have an understanding that, yes, we brought the children together and we need each other, and we need to let them know that it is us, it is me and you, it's not them and us. Right. They are innocent and they deserve.
There's sometimes where we tell children so much sensitive information about the process of co-parenting. Yeah? I have met a child who told me, I don't have a dad, and I mean, they're very comfortable. That clearly means they have been told that by maybe the other parent. Is it proper for them to be told of the processes of co-parenting? Is it proper for them to be told that, okay, at this point, never again will you ever hear anything to do with dad?
There is some information to tell the children so that they can understand that now we are no longer together. But the way you tell them matters a lot, and that's why we recommend for therapy. Yeah. Bring them for therapy and let them bring up their issues. They know a lot. Children, by the way, even before you part, they know. You'll be surprised. Because they pick emotions. They can tell my dad and mama are not okay. And there is information which you shouldn't tell the child, because we are making children like grown-ups. You tell them hard stuff that they cannot comprehend, and that is contributing to trauma later in life. So they say, I will never get married, or I will never get children because I'll be punishing them. They feel they are being punished. So as we talk about co-parenting, we need to be sensitive that children's brain have not reached that capacity to be fed with so much. And whatever they are fed, they never forget. It's deep down in their mind.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Dr. Sarah, what is the place of society in all this? Because these three phases, I call one divorce, separation, as well as co-parenting. They're quite challenging phases of every other individual. Where does the society come in making sure that they accord that support?
I think, Lee, that there is a problem on what we are glorifying. As Dr. Jane had said earlier, that indeed co-parenting seems to be working, and everyone thinks, do I have to stay with this man? Yeah. And you saw recently in the social media, there was this lady who said, if you say you see yourself staying with a man for a whole year, slaughter a cock.
I know, right? That's a big deal. Pat yourself.
It's looking like it's almost an impossible deal. So, and now the worst is that children are going to think that is the way to go, and eventually we see people who are really not balanced in terms of their growth. And what I think we are learning away from are the consequences of what we are seeing the children who are under co-parenting, what they are going through. The psychological part is not taken care of, and these children keep on asking questions. We go to religious institutions where again we have said no divorce, no separation, and these children don't know where they belong. They see that the parents now have been condemned, they separated. So they are being brought up by parents who have already separated, and they keep on thinking and shifting the blame to all their social issues. I think that's where we are also having a problem in, that anytime we have a child who is on drugs, we assume they are of single parents, you know, and think there's need to somehow, in a way, one way or the other, demystify the way we are handling this matter and still go back to the religious beliefs that marriage should work. Okay. And if it doesn't work, we still agree that we can do this successfully.
Beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, marriages work. We have seen evidence. The three of them are an evidence, you know, show that it does work, because they have shared their experiences with us before, and we appreciate all that. We must close at this point, but not before we speak about how an individual must ensure that they are making decisions that are keen on prioritizing their mental wealth, or wealth and health as well, yes, as we close.
Let me say this. Like I said before, in divorce or separation, you are losing a bit of yourself. Like we already know, is that when people get married, they become one. Okay. So it is like a piece of you has been chopped off, and you are now doing without it. And that means that your emotional person is dented, just like your physical person. And one thing that you need to understand is that you must come to the reality that this has happened. Okay. And then ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is if I live in denial, it is if I don't accept myself, is if I allow myself to go down. And so the next thing is to ask yourself, what must I do? One of the things that we see a lot in society is that people are judged. Divorced people or separated people are judged. Like they'll say, you know, this person cannot keep a marriage.
As we sum it up, yeah?
Yes. So it is important to understand yourself and, you know, love yourself. Don't listen to what, you know, others are saying. Just love yourself and then seek support, social support, and seek therapy. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, the doctors. It's always good having you. As they will always say, you can only offer the best if you are in the best of state yourself. Dr. Jane, asante sana, Dr. Sarah, as well as Dr. Rehab. We look forward to see you some other time as we discuss other important matters that are important to you and me, as I started by saying. My name is Linda Alela. Do have yourself a lovely night as we look forward to see you again on Saturday. Bye-bye.